All right, it is 6 o'clock. I will call this meeting of the Campus Reconfiguration Committee to order and ask clerk to take the roll.
Harrow,
Here.
Manning,
Here.
Glassbrenner, here. Turk,
Here.
Frank,
Here.
Williamson.
Here. And are we in compliance with the open meetings law?
Are.
Very good. We have a 13-point agenda before us. To have a motion to approve it? Motion by Manning, second by Frank to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Right, and we also have minutes from our March 18th committee meeting. Anybody have questions, clarifications, or corrections on those minutes? If there are none, then I'll declare those to be approved as presented. Item 6 is public comment. Do we have anybody from the public that wishes to comment before the committee? We do have an agenda item for an update on the specialized assessment, if that's what you're going to, okay. Yep, that's on the agenda, so we'll talk about that. Anybody else who wants to comment? Anybody in person or online? All right, hearing none, we will move into reports. And item A is a UW campus status update. Not a lot has changed since our last meeting. We have been working with the Brewer Public Library to take some items from the campus library. They're able to use some shelving, books, and some equipment and furniture that was out there, and they're very appreciative. So that is a continuing process. They spent a couple days moving loads of things out. It takes a while to get it disassembled and moved out, and then back to where they're taking it and reassembled. So, but that process is continuing. Other than that, we haven't really done anything with any of the buildings. Haven't been any situations with maintenance or anything?
Well, yeah, there are some current issues
No.
with the buildings, but that we'll bring up at the committee tomorrow.
Okay.
With the pumps and all that stuff and the dollar amounts. I have all those numbers for tomorrow.
Okay.
The alumni group did remove some of their stuff, the rest of their stuff with Randy yesterday or the day before,
Day before.
day before. So
Yeah, the foundation had come in and taken the athletic or all the banners out of the gymnasium. We removed them for those people, and then a couple plaques that were on, athletic plaques and memorials that were on the wall. Just a podium from 1963 that was theirs. So just a couple small items, and that was it. So that's all done. And they turned our keys back into.
So that's the status of the property as of right now. Any questions? All right.
No, Mike's had no correspondence. Any further correspondence with the contact from UW?
Just waiting to hear back on when we wanted to schedule the pickup and everything, and there was some question as to, so.
Yeah. They didn't seem to be interested in helping us dispose of any contents, just the records.
Just the stuff that
Yes.
CYA.
And I did brief Representative Kurtz on the status of that, so. We'll see if anything changes on their part. I don't know that we have any desire to reach out to them for further conversation at this point.
So there's items that they want to take care of to cover
It's
for data, basically.
paper and computers.
And so if we say, you're not taking the rest of the stuff, you're not getting in.
Well, it's our property now, so they would need our permission to go in and get it.
All right.
Because they've given it to us.
The issue is, at a certain point, we become the custodian of those
Right.
records and become liable for them and everything. And
Yes.
uh,
It's not something we want to do.
No.
Mr. Carroll.
Hang on. These were records that are supposed to be kept and they didn't take them with them?
correct.
Yeah. From what we understand, yes.
They're
Negligence.
evacuation. They left the campus in a hurry.
Yes.
And they did not properly vet all of the materials that were left behind.
Including digital data?
We don't necessarily know. I'm not going to dig through their computers, so.
Well, I'm not either. That's why I said if they're gonna come, take it all.
We have noticed that in offices, computers are gone generally, but there are some computers still out there and we don't know what's on them.
Exactly. Henceforth, my comment, take it all.
So yes, we, at some point, we will give them access to come back and renew records that do belong to them that they, for whatever reason, did not get the first time they left.
Or fee.
Any other questions?
So what are we gonna do with the rest of the content then? Are we want?
Well, we are,
Or is that gonna be on agenda item next month?
we've got an agenda item yet coming up where we'll talk about some of it, specialized items. We've made a little progress on that. We can actually skip down to C at this point. We'll go back to B for what there is to report. With update on assessment of specialized items, there was interest in the pianos, and Mr. Lowe, you did take a look at them?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
You gave us, it's in the packet.
The forms are in the packet. Yep, what you turned into is in the packet.
A few comments and then a little questions. There's only one piano that's worth anything. The others were basically built cheap when they were built. There's no point in trying to rebuild and refurbish and whatever. Sell and go. The only one that really has any merit at all is the Baldwin. I think I described in the packet that is a rare gem. As far as pianos go, it is worth a lot. And I'd like to, I think a lot of people would like to keep it in the community somehow. I also, beyond what is in the packet, I was able to find somebody in West Salem, Wisconsin that's willing to look at it for what he calls a reconditioning, which I don't think it relates to what this board needs to do. I think my recommendation after seeing this, find a good home for it, kind of whoever wants to recondition it, they do so. And I'm thinking of things like the school or what's the, there's a Richland campus foundation. I wonder why they're not more interested in this. It's a tremendous tool if we want to bring some cultural elements, music, whatever, to the area and have a proper venue. But Mike Magnus of West Salem, ifixpianos.com, is willing to actually drive down here on his own nickel to take a look at it. And he and I and Tim Voss, the fellow I had with me, all feel that it can be accomplished at a lot less cost than what I ran into in Madison and another place in Ohio, which was pretty outlandish. But I don't think that's the board's responsibility as a commission, but I think it's where it gets it. But it is something that's a viable tool. It's a high class, high quality piano that for the most part needs reconditioning, not rebuilt. And at that point, I guess I'm saying, I think I've done about what I can because I don't have the club influence and connections in the broader Richland County, so I defer to the board to hopefully find a suitable home for it. That's the idea that's good.
So the short version of the story is the one might merit some further consideration from whoever we can pass it on to. The others are disposal.
That auction off or whatever.
All right.
I mean, you got one there that's that Estonia, that's obviously a pre-fall of the Iron Curtain Estonia, made in Estonia.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, to IAEA standards. Modern Estonias are owned by the family that makes very good stuff. But that's, I mean, the finish is cracked on it badly, it sounds horrible. Sometimes you just gotta suck it in and say, okay, let's get what we can. Yeah, the only one that's worth anything is that Baldwin, and with some rework, reconditioning, whatever, it's actually worth a lot.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any questions.
The committee have questions on the pianos?
Not the piano, but wondering if we can go back to B, kind of got.
We will. We just jumped ahead to C. Yep.
What do we do next? I mean, it's easy.
Well, we've got more information than we had before.
Absolutely.
So the other thing, I reached out to Jeff Behrens from Richland Center High School, and he's willing to come in and take a look at the band instruments for us. Let us know if any of it's usable, any of it's got value. Derek and I talked about, you know, the possibility if there is anything there of value. And we have two school districts that are completely within the boundaries of Richland County, Richland Center and Ithaca. Perhaps we can divvy up anything that's useful between those two.
Sure.
But we don't know right now. I'm working on connecting with him to get him in there and let him take a look at what's there. His guess was similar to mine, that if it had value, Black Oak probably took it, so.
Except their data.
Yeah, well.
So come on, give it in reality.
Yes.
They did take their records with them, so.
Well, yeah, it's,
They're not,
Mr. Lowe. Yep.
Does in connection, somebody that actually moved. Don't mean to favor Richland Center High School for. It's just in this situation, the facility that best suits that piano is the high school auditorium.
Well, and it's the most proximate facility too. It would need the shortest move. So
We'll want some of the others idle in front.
we will have to see where we go from. We appreciate the knowledge you've been able to give us.
And I guess in closing, I'd say if somebody needs my further input, welcome to give it.
We appreciate that.
And, but it's going back to my point. It's really more valuable than people may think. A new piano like that is $150,000. Yeah, but it's sort of recondition, do something like this, I thought it's well worthwhile for wherever it goes. And if you talk the campus foundation, you talk me to an extent, you talk some of the other public monies, grants, whatever that can be had, whoever gets it should be able to get it fixed up in a very good condition for not obscene amount of money.
Good to know. Mr. Frank.
do we reach out to the school districts and ask if they're even interested in or if they have space or ability? Because if they don't, then we have to move on to the next thing. So at least we'll have a next step to find out,
Start with Richland Center and Ithaca.
are they or aren't they?
Already tried to contact John?
I would, yes. And I don't know if it would be instrumental music or choral music that would be most interesting, something like that, probably both.
Do you want me to reach out to him? Or do you,
No,
you've already started?
I've already started with
Okay.
him, so. So we could check with Ithaca and see.
I can check with that, can you?
Thank you, just to.
Yep.
Do something, move something.
See, get him on the piano.
And then we had discussed having someone come in and look at stuff in the science room. too.
Yeah, Brandon, I will work on getting a hold
Yeah.
of Brandon. He was on the call last time, I believe, and I didn't hear from him, but I can reach out to him and see if he.
Brandon Federley in the past has expressed willingness to come in and look at the lab equipment and things like that to let us know what has value, what's usable. And so we are going to reach out to him as well. Because there are some microscopes and telescopes
Oh,
and
gosh,
things like that out there that
Yeah,
could very well have value. So,
definitely.
any other questions on specialized items? Otherwise, a lot of the contents are like furnishings and pieces of equipment that are in various states of repair. There's a big pile of stuff.
Yeah, and we've been, I think most people have reached out to Randy regarding, office equipment and stuff we can use up here. I think there are no outstanding requests for that, right? I think we've,
No,
I mean,
we're,
kind of.
we're on our last move. I think EMS is our last move for furniture.
Yep.
I think that's our last one for now.
Just-
I mean, but
Yeah, one tape.
Then you gotta take.
Oh, yeah, for the airport, yeah.
otherwise, I think we're
That's
right
what
on
I
the
thought.
end of that.
We've been able to take a number of items that the county's able to use, which is good, so.
Yeah, I will reach out to Ithaca School regarding pianos and I'll get in touch with Brandon regarding that.
Okay,
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
I am available if you need something else, but that's passing the buck.
Okay, thank you.
I don't really socialize a lot, Bob, not because I got in trouble.
We won't, never mind.
But, so I don't have connections your folks do. One last thing on that piano, it would take, there is an actual humidifier with a plug-in on it, but it needs to somebody needs to maintain a water supply.
Yep.
What happened, mine would crack some soundboard as it got too dry.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so no other questions on C. We'll move back up to B. Venture Architects updates. We received notice that there's going to be a change in staffing at Venture. Kyle, that we've been working with, is departed. He's actually gone as of Monday, I think it was.
Yes, yeah.
So Corey is now our point of contact at Venture.
Which one was Kyle?
Kyle, he was the one who did most of the talking when they were here. Kyle, yeah. Very good, very good. We miss him. But Corey was the one who was here with him, and Corey is now the lead on our project. So we had someone asking a question specifically about the gym. What was the difference between the, just a little less than 2 million versus the 3.2 million? What was the difference in those? So I reached out to Corey and asked him, and he said that most of the difference has to do with bringing things into ADA compliance. The first estimate was just as it sits, fixing it up. The second estimate was, okay, make it compliance to today's standards as it sits, again, for use as a gym. And so that would include accessible entrances, door hardware, corners, closers, things like that, railings, restroom renovations, locker room renovations to make them accessible. There is also asbestos abatement needed in that building, replacement of exterior doors that are not in good shape, sidewalk and concrete work around it, and some grading improvements so that water doesn't come up against the building. That would be the higher price tag, would encompass all of that. So just to clarify for the committee what the difference was. Otherwise, Venture is working to move into the next phase, which is the rest of our space needs study and what possibilities we could have for a phased approach to addressing the space needs that the county has, jail, courthouse space, offices, everything like that. And so when we next meet with them, those would be the kind of types of conversations we would be anticipating having with them. Mr. Manning.
That one night I asked them if they could come up with an estimate of the weight and stuff. Did anybody get that?
They did. I thought I sent you an email for that. Okay, if it didn't land in your notebook, then I do not believe they could, because they don't typically keep track of that, or they did not have that number available for me to give to you, and I can resend you the email. I can, yeah. Yeah, yes.
Program out there when times height, and then the material in it. And even if we knew within, what, Josh, 100 ton, at least to give us some idea.
I can find the email and print it out for you.
All right, I'll be watching for
Okay. Check your mailbox, not your notebook, your mailbox.
Any other questions related to Venture or the assessment or moving on to space needs? All right, then that brings us to item 8, discussion and possible action on the MOU between Richland School District and Richland County for the use of the campus gym.
So just in full disclosure, in the packet, you see one that has the red line with the edits, and then I just stopped tracking the changes and put a clean version up there with the edits not visible, just in case you wanted to see what was changed. You have what would go to board and then a clean version or edited version.
So you guys had a meeting to talk through issues that we have identified with it.
Yeah, so Mike and I met a couple weeks ago, went through Simon's needs, went through the concerns of this committee, talked about, and then Mike adjusted this MOU for us.
Okay. And so this would need to be presented back to the school district then?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Question?
they haven't seen this yet.
No, not this version. So Mr. Carroll first.
So you guys had talked with Simons. Was there not a joint meeting with the school district and Simons and yourselves where?
There was not. What we talked about was to try to get this committee's approval with something before we went back to the school. For the school.
Okay. But Simons is good with the wording with drafted now.
Yeah, we were involved in it.
Sounds good to us.
We were involved, yeah, it's good with us.
Other questions?
Does it have it?
Go ahead, Randy.
Did it have anything in there about the usage of that back end for the maintenance area? Back into the building for the maintenance area?
It calls it out that they're only allowed certain access points. They're not allowed into the whole building, so we have every right to keep them out of that maintenance
maintenance area.
Okay, so does that include, I know we had some discussion about that weight room area being part of the maintenance from the lobby back.
You can
For
limit
storage?
any area in the gym for purposes of health or safety. So as long as you feel that it is in the interest of safety to designate an area as off limits, it covers the entire building. If the building were on fire, you could say the whole thing is off limits right now.
I guess my concern from my side of it, from the maintenance side of it, if we do this centralized maintenance thing and we are stationed out of there, my concern was that generator room where the weight room is now attached to it. We now would have to build a wall in there because they were asking for usage of that room. And I have concerns about people having access to that generator room, chemical room, or supply room and all that stuff. So I guess my feelings on the maintenance side of it would be from the lobby out, no access from that side.
So when you say the lobby,
So when you come in the side doors,
Right,
all the
that's
side
the
doors in the glass, that's considered the lobby in front of the gym.
say the access to the restrooms.
Yes, they still have access to the restrooms out front, but there is a restroom in the back in that weight room / maintenance room /
Oh,
storage and all that. There's
Yeah,
one
there is.
restroom back in there, but it also has access to the generator room,
Right.
supplies, maintenance room, all that. So that was the only concern I had.
A room that houses all the chemicals and paint.
Yes.
Yeah, tools.
Yeah.
Boilers. Yep.
So,
Yeah, it's addressed.
So I
and
didn't
I
want
haven't
to
seen it, so
tie it to any specific area because I know as soon as I do, you're going to discover, oh, well, they can get in this way now. So I left it to your discretion and you can change it. You don't have to say, these are the off
I
limits.
just haven't seen it.
No, that's fine. Carol?
So need the wording.
Steve has it right over there.
Access to property, section 3. Section 3, I think that's just page 1. Access to the gym or areas therein may be limited at the county's sole discretion for reasons of health or safety. County shall provide notice of areas to be restricted as expediently as possible to RSD. So it contemplates an emergency situation. Again, if something's on fire, we're not going to take the time to submit a written notice to the school district that they can't go in there. But generally speaking.
Or if there's a system failure that contaminates an area.
Yes, yep.
Sorry, you can't go in there now. That's.
But he's talking about a full on, no access ever. Okay.
Well, no access ever.
No access unless we tell them.
Right. Unless it's.
Do that if you want to.
Right.
School district wants to build a wall there.
County sole discretion.
Right.
Okay. Right.
So it also says that this is at no cost to the school district. And yet a cost that they will incur, it also says they're taking care of the cleaning, they're taking care of the snow.
They're not paying us any money.
Right, they're not paying us any money, but they are doing something out there. So the snow removal is gonna cover the sidewalk or the driveway? Because some of that is Simon's, what?
Any areas pertinent to their use. So if they're using the gymnasium and they want to use a sidewalk, they have an event going, they're responsible for clearing that snow. We don't take care of clearing the snow for their events.
All right, so, but not the parking lot then, because that's ours. Okay,
That's ours.
sidewalks, any of the maintenance or any of the cleaning services they take care of in the building.
Yep.
They're mowing the field,
Soccer field.
soccer field, is that, I'm guessing that's a big advantageous thing for us, time-wise and energy-wise?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to have to do that again.
Okay, that's what I'm making sure that we have some.
500 hay bales.
Yeah.
That's what we got out of there.
Okay. Should we be requesting anything else for use? It's at no cost. Are we going to get into the topic of other locations that want to use it? I know the sheriff's department is on here in a bit. Simons wants to use the gym. This all is going to be no cost for everybody? Are we setting precedent?
Yeah, and Simons has use of the gym, so that's built into here that Richland School District will work around the needs of Simons.
Okay, and that's at no cost to Simons?
Correct.
So once again, my thoughts are we are incurring usage, wear and tear, and we're not really gaining anything other than some maintenance work and yard work. So I think at some point we have to look at that and go, if someone wants a meeting room, we need to figure out what we're going to charge if we're going to do that. I'm just concerned we don't set that precedent too far.
We did talk about that because we're funding all the utilities and everything for the building, and to isolate what the cost is for running the gymnasium is too hard to pinpoint right now. So we felt as though maybe if we have to have that future discussion, a flat rate.
Right, yeah,
Come up with a
$100 an
flat
hour, something, I agree, yeah, just something to set a standard we should be conscious of as time goes on. All right, I guess assignments is good.
Mr. Carroll?
In terms of coordinating the use of the gym, it talks about meeting regularly to negotiate and or exchange schedules. So we're not saying either party has priority.
It does say in there that it ensuring that it does not interfere with county events. So that kind of says county has priority.
That's in number 1.
Okay.
The one question I had, and you'll see it's in bracket here, I realized as I was going through this, I should have asked clarifying questions at the time. But do you want to preclude the school district from collecting their $30 or whatever they normally use from the reservations for events that take place at the gym? Was that the intention?
I know Steve Board had mentioned that they would be willing to do that, that we just won't charge anybody. Now, is there room to differentiate, if the school district is providing additional janitorial services, would they have a right to recover those costs versus charging somebody rent for the building because it's still our building?
That's not, nothing that we would see, that would be something that.
They would recover from the parties
Yeah,
that use that space.
Yeah.
They use it for an event, for a basketball game or something, it's usually what, $5 to get into a basketball game. That's taking in money. It's collecting fees.
So that's an admission fee for the event. I don't know if that's
Well, it says, as written, it says any fees. That's why I put it in
Right.
brackets, because I want to be clear.
well,
Wait,
the
that-
discussion we're having at the moment he said that was about renting it out to like private.
Right.
parties.
Right.
And so he said, well, we would just not do that. So.
So I did change, the original language said, district sponsored events or events booked through their school facility use agreement. And those are the private events that were contemplated. I took that second part out. And the intention would be that if it's exclusively used for school functions, if they're not willing to take ownership and sponsorship of the event, then it can't be held in the gym.
Okay.
If that's consistent with your intention, then the collecting fees kind of goes out the wayside, because then they wouldn't be charging themselves anyway.
Agreed.
That's a good way to do it.
Maybe?
So this is gonna go to the school district and there, and possibly maybe one more iteration then if they have issues with some of the wording.
Yeah, so the way that I would contemplate moving forward from here is, if this committee recommends approval of this document, we send it to the school district. If they're comfortable with the language, great, we send it to both bodies for approval. If not, then we really do need to have that joint sit down with all three shareholders at the table and just get it worked out.
I don't want to make this too difficult for them. I mean, if they feel like they need to collect a fee for janitorial, I mean, I don't think they're out
Yeah.
to like.
The way it's
sell a
worded
bunch
doesn't
of
say that.
Yeah, because if you say any fees, that even eliminates.
Right, so I think we could just take that part out.
But
we could
I know, yeah, when we sat with Steve, he was okay with, but that was back when they were gonna use their electronic scheduling, and that was gonna be more
It's a little different.
volleyball and different things like that, not a school sponsored event. They were just gonna do that.
Can Simons using it charge a fee? Or we're gonna do a team basketball thing, and everybody's gotta pitch in $5. I don't know if you do that or not, but.
Oh, remember
Is that
Simon,
fair?
they're already paying a fee, so.
And
Well, for events, though, you could have events there and pay a fee, and that would be fine.
We have a special event that costs us money, we had to pay an instructor or something,
Right,
then yeah, we have to charge a fee for that.
right. So I wanna make sure that, I mean, that's.
I mean, ultimately Simons is a county endeavor, so that would be charging ourselves or shooting ourselves in the foot and.
Well, no, but yeah, we wouldn't do that. I just, it's a practice. A whole picture.
Any other comments?
Do we need to make a motion to send it to them?
At this, do we need to make a
Yeah.
motion just to send it to the school district?
To recommend its adoption, and then, once we have that approval, we can let the school district know, hey, this is what we're contemplating passing. Do you feel like this is something that would pass your school board? And if not, let's do,
So we want a motion recommending adoption pending the school district signing off on it as well.
I'll make that motion.
And are we removing that wording about fees?
already did.
How long would we be bound?
I'll second it.
We made a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Motion by Caro, second by Glassbrenner. And the question then is, in discussion, is there time parameters on this agreement?
There's a notice requirement to terminate it, but I don't think it has a, yeah,
30 days.
30 days.
30-day termination
Either-
agreement notice.
but it doesn't have like an expiration date.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I could write in an auto renewal provision, but
It's kind of.
I don't think.
I think it,
That was 30 days, I
we
suppose.
get any further longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I just wondered, are we locked into this for the next 100 years? I believe.
I don't know if it'll stand.
never again.
30 days after we approve it, we can get notice that we're disapproving.
Good. Any other discussion? All right, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we will have our corp council take it to the school district and see if they're on board as well. Cool. All right, that brings us to item 9, discussion and possible action use of campus facilities by Richland County Sheriff's Department for training purposes.
So this was requested to be on the agenda from the last meeting by a member or members of the sheriff's department. Historically, when these requests have been coming through, I know people have been approved to use those facilities. At times in the past, the direction that I was given from this committee in January was that we were not going to allow anyone to use it for anything, just to be consistent on how we're allowing people to use the facilities. And given that some of the buildings were now mothballed and that they're in various states of use with temperatures and there's stuff all over some of them, that it was just to remain consistent again in how we're using the building and not do, cause any additional work to have staff out there to open and close it. The direction that we've gone is just to not allow people to use those for all those reasons I said, and probably a bunch more that we could come up with. So that's how those requests have been handled by me. I know, Dave, I've received a few. I've CC'd Chair Turk on my responses that are at this time, we're not doing that for all those reasons. And that's where the decision point has been. And it was requested to be discussed tonight, which is why it's on the agenda. But background, that's how it's been handled since then.
We have 2 buildings where there's no plumbing service right now. The water is shut off in those buildings. There is still minimal heat to those buildings, but the buildings are not maintained for occupancy in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, but when he was here, he said none of that really they were not gonna be using any of that, didn't matter. How much-
We have Deputy Wallace online with us. And so,
Requirement is it our staff, if we have to,
well, maybe we can find out first what they want to do. Can you?
Yeah, I'm online, Dave, if
Yeah.
I can talk.
So what kind of, time commitment are we looking at here? What kind of buildings would you want to be using? Can you give us a little more on that?
I mean, like I said last time, we're really looking for any of the buildings and all the buildings to use for different type of trainings. Special response training. We're doing multiple different entries. If we have different rooms, we can clear rooms, make entries into buildings, do search for people inside the buildings. And then we use it for canine trainings quite a bit too. We have several different agencies that we host canine trainings for. Usually we're responsible for 3 or 4 trainings a year. And in the past, we've brought 5 or 6 different agencies in. They do sniffs. They look for drug in the schools. Once again, they do article searches, person searches inside the schools. we really don't need anything there at the buildings. We don't need water. We don't need heat. We just need the facilities to use to do these type of trainings. Like I said in the past, we've done them in houses that are literally falling down, where we just spray paint the floor so we didn't fall through in certain spots. So we don't need any really accommodations rather than just the buildings that we can use for our training purposes.
Okay. Mandy, what do you think?
Well, is it much work for the,
Well, then we'd have to figure out the way they were gonna get access.
And then also, just if I have other requests that want to use the building, for instance, this agenda, and I want to say I'm not opposed to this. I just need you all to tell me how you want me to handle the phone calls when they come in about other departments or other entities using this, because once this agenda was posted, there was a request from the ambulance department to use some of those buildings. So again, you all tell me what you want me to do, just how do you want me to do it? Because this, again, could result in lots of people wanting to use it, and I just need clear for direction from this committee on what you want me to allow or not allow, because that would be different than what we've done in the past. So not opposed, just need some direction.
Sure.
Frank?
Do we, at this point, do we start taking requests? Those requests come to this committee or somebody for approval or disapproval? I know it's another step, but I don't, first of all, I don't think it's fair to just dump it on Derek or whoever without some clear direction.
That's what
And we haven't given any clear direction. So I think we need to do that. We need to ask them what it's for. Maybe it's going to be a form that we, here's what it's for, here's the dates, here are the needs, so that we have something to work with. I'd like to see some activity out there. I think it would be good and healthy, especially in the sheriff's department case. They're probably going to use the buildings that we have no interest in at all. Anyway, I don't know what you're going to do about bathrooms, but you do know that anyway, because there may not be accessible out there at that time you're working, but.
There's a gas station not too far down the road. So if someone needs to use the restroom, we can send somebody down there. I mean, we work in
Safest gas station in the community when you guys come in there with your SRT equipment. So yeah, I'd go for that.
we probably won't go in full equipment. We'd probably go down to our normal work pants and shirt before we went over there. But
I think you should go in full gear.
Last one.
I would agree with Bob. I mean, I don't want to make this confusing or extra work for Derek or anyone who's handling this, but at the same time, I mean, I feel like there are ways that the county can be using this for good purposes when they're just sitting out there and we're not doing anything with it. We should be doing that. So I agree. If it would be easier to just be like, okay, we'll put it on the agenda at the next meeting. I don't know.
Well, and maybe set our meetings on a schedule so that as Derek gets a request, they get recorded and.
Because I don't know what the ambulance specified, but I could see them also wanting to utilize it for some sort of training thing, which as long as they're not trying to use bathrooms and stuff, like.
And I had a conversation with Director Jessen just briefly, and they would like to use the parking lot for some things, which right now the bridge is closed over there anyway, so nobody's even in the parking lot. So that probably wouldn't be a problem. But then they could potentially use buildings for practicing loading people in and out and things like that. So that'd be the kind of thing they were looking at. Mr. Carroll.
Well, maybe at this point, we just, for now, say county entities, county departments, but no outside organizations.
Would wholeheartedly agree we're not opening up to outside agencies.
Right.
And I don't know that. My preference would be we're permitting it, we're not encouraging it. That's just how I'd like to approach it.
I have a question for Randy. The two buildings were shut down. Do we need to be worried about mold, letting people use something? And
I don't think so. They're pretty cool. I mean, they're not,
I didn't know if we should put them to buildings. Well,
they're running 50 degrees. So,
and you would know correctly if there was anything.
oh yeah, I mean,
I think we want to make sure that they're going to clean up after themselves too.
Yeah, because there's no regular garbage service out there or anything either, so. So that would be a provision that the department would have to understand. Deputy Wallace, how many buildings would you look at utilizing? Do you have a preference of one over another? Or two, or what do you think?
I mean, and I know in the past we've used the library, we've used the science building. it'd be nice to be able to have access to different buildings. We maybe wouldn't use them all at the same time, but it gives us a different type of train that we could do every time. I mean, some buildings have more rooms, some of them have a little bit more open space to do different type of training. So I don't want to limit ourselves to one single building. If it'd be possible to, like you said, just submit a request to use one or two buildings for a training, but let you guys know ahead of time which buildings those might be, depending on what training we'd be doing for that event.
So I can create a facility use request form that is intended to be used by county departments only or county functions only. So when I get calls from all the nonprofits, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, this is only open to county departments use only. Those departments know they need to fill out that form. They also need to know that they can't call me one day before they need the building because it's going to have to be approved at the committee level. And there will be no more discussions about that. Because when we open this up, I just want to be very clear because it's going to open up the floodgates for lots of things. And I don't want anyone to get mad that we're denying them the right to use the building. So
I would say as a committee, we're not necessarily looking to create barriers, but we need to
Right.
control who has access to that property. It's a vacant property.
Yes.
There's things out there, so we need to control who has access at a certain time and make sure that's managed. Mr. Carroll.
Just to be clear, are we still saying each individual request has to come through this committee, or are we turn that over to the administrator?
it's up to you guys. How do you want to handle it?
I mean, I don't feel like I need to get everything passed by me.
I would say as a committee, I don't know that any of us feel like we need to be.
If you feel comfortable creating that form.
I do.
And then the administrator can say, yeah, it sounds reasonable or not, that sounds good to
And
me.
if there's a question, we can bring it before the committee, but otherwise, we've set some parameters, and as long as those parameters are complied with, and we can work out access reasonably. I mean, I don't want to have Randy sitting out there for 16 hours for something.
Right.
We have different ways we can manage the access to try to make it as easy as possible and not create a burden on the rest of the county for, a particular department using it, I would say.
You just don't want us to turn into like a rental facility where it's one more auxiliary function for the county to manage when that's not our job as a local government.
Yes.
And I guess I would be curious to know what people are interested in using that. So,
And
now that we've got the forum, we can go,
Right.
hey, these people are interested. If other people call, I'd be curious to know what that.
the only other caution I would give is to keep in mind that it is not the county's long-term intention to
That's
own this
right.
property.
Oh.
So if something changes rather quickly and we have an opportunity for someone else to take it over, it's gone.
Well, that's what.
Which, that was part of the reason we didn't do anything before, because we didn't know what was gonna happen. So for instance, like, there were groups that were asking to use it this fall, and it's like, I don't know what's gonna, we don't even know what condition it'd be in.
My guess is some of those people that are calling you, they don't have any idea of the condition of the buildings or that we've mothballed or that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
true.
It's not access
True,
to
true.
bathrooms and.
To play devil's advocate, I do foresee that there are gonna be departments that are gonna ask to have a tour of the building to be able to get stuff out. For them to be able to see, so it's been offered to them, and
Didn't we already do that?
they've never been out there, so they've been provided, so like, I made my list, I gave it to Randy, he brought the stuff back for me, but there are still department heads who are saying, I would like to go and see for myself. So I do think that's gonna be a question that's going to be
It
asked.
will be, it's just gonna open up lots of different things, which is.
So have we taken pictures of what's out there and they can look at those? If not, I've got those pictures of things that are out there and they can look at those.
Some of those are gone now,
So I understand that,
but
It's, just from my side, because I hear it from all around the building, it's really hard without them seeing. It really is, because they're all looking for specialized things, certain letter holder or whatever, stapler. I mean, we've been trying to collect all the office supplies and all that stuff. We're cleaning the rooms and bringing boxes and boxes and going around office to office and handing stuff out, pencils and pens and staplers and all that stuff. But people are looking for like the bigger stuff, like the desks, the shelving.
we've had some requests for like certain sizes of.
Yeah,
things.
they're all looking at whiteboards and corkboards and you name it. They're looking for all this different stuff. And again, my feeling when this all started way back when was we should set a 2-hour block, let people walk through, and you got 2 hours. Put a sticky note on it if you're interested. If it's got 3 sticky notes on it, you come back to the department head meeting, those 3 people draw, and whoever gets it, gets it. You know, it's.
That's,
it's
I was
really-
actually
it's
gonna
really
suggest
hard, but
something like that, but I
yes,
didn't know
it's-
if it was reasonable.
Yes, it's a time consuming thing for a couple hours, but then they could stop this complaint and say, I haven't had a chance to see what's out there. So, cause I hear it every day. I hear it every day.
Sounds great.
And
If you guys are good with it.
we did talk about that at one point, and then it was decided that no, we would
No.
limit
Yeah.
access and people would submit their requests via email, and that's how they would be filled.
But it sounds like that isn't necessarily.
Well, I think a lot of people have already, a lot of departments have received the items they want, but it wouldn't hurt for other ones to go out there
Everybody has
either.
gotten, everybody that
That's
I
fine.
had
Get rid
on
of
my
more
list.
stuff.
Right.
They have all emailed Candace and I both, and they have all their lists, they've got their stuff.
Right.
EMS was the only one that hadn't the time, because Mike was not here, I don't think, when this was all starting.
Yeah.
And so he asked for some stuff, and I'm like, so we got it now, it's all marked, we picked it out, so. Now it's just a matter of.
Do one last 2 hour ride.
Yeah.
So we're gonna administration, work with the department heads and Randy to get that set up.
I'm fine with that, just to stop.
How are you-
From asking, so.
Randy, how are you gonna pick which department head goes first?
It's only one per department, no, they all
No,
at the same time.
everybody.
Window for everybody.
No,
Okay.
you got one
One.
window of 2 hours. We're gonna go in this building, you got 15 minutes or 20 minutes to walk.
There should be enough sticky notes out there.
Yeah.
I've got, there's tons of those.
I need some fresh ones.
I just think that would solve a lot of the problems and,
Yeah.
places throughout
So
the-
then you're gonna drag stuff in, drag their old stuff back out there.
I've already, that's all I've been doing for the last 2 months.
Yep.
3 months, that's what I've been doing, is moving furniture.
Which most people don't realize.
No, they have no idea what's gonna happen.
Yes, there's been a lot of stuff in.
This was a process we discussed at the beginning of it.
But
it works now.
It's ready to go now. We're at the point now.
Well, and I think we're a little bit more clear on like what was valuable and what was.
We are.
There was, we
Yes.
didn't have any idea at the
Right.
beginning.
And we've come to the point of realizing that nobody's gonna move into this building and use it for something tomorrow, so, let's get it
None of
cleaned
this
out.
is that valuable.
Tour, campus tour.
Now we do.
2 hour tour.
Yes, so
2 hour
probably
campus tour.
In the end, could stop all this stuff in a hurry, so.
So do we need to make a motion on number 9 for the
Sure.
patient deputy
Running
here?
around here.
Yeah, well, I think we created a process for that to happen, so Deputy Wallace, there's gonna be a form created, you fill out that form, send through your request, go to the administration, and they take care of it unless there's some special aspect of it the committee would need to deal with. Am I summarizing what we were discussing correctly here? I don't know if we need a motion in that regard, I think we just kind of created an internal process, so.
Great.
And
So,
should Simons be asked about, the timing of that form may affect something that is going on. And I don't know if that's an
Wouldn't
issue
that
or not.
include?
I assumed we were exempting the gym.
yeah, we're not talking about the gym, that's a different.
Okay.
so.
All right.
This would be just
We're
other
not
bills.
overlapping topics.
If they want to use the gym, they'd now have to go through.
Right.
Simon said.
Want to make sure we're.
So,
clear on this.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
regarding the gymnasium too, I know I've had several deputies asking me about access for like playing basketball in the morning. Is that something like you're just saying, is that something we have to go through the Simon Center to?
Yeah, that'd be up to Simons and the school district to work out if that's available or accessible at that time, because, that's the issue. Again, if it's gonna be open for people to use, somebody has to be there to open it and keep an eye on it, and I don't know if the school district or if Simons is equipped to handle it at that time, so that'd be something, and of course, the MOU isn't officially in place yet, so they have to wait till it was officially in place.
All right, we'll address that issue at a different time then. Thank you.
Yep. All right, any other discussion on our facility use policy we've come up with?
Who means that, Derek? Sorry, Derek.
It's okay.
How many more days?
It's the list.
Some 2 weeks, okay. All right, so item number 10, discussion of possible action on setting future meeting dates. As things continue to happen, I'd like us to meet sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Definitely.
We can get an update on how things have gone with what we've talked about tonight. 3 weeks from tonight is the 30th. 2 weeks from tonight is the 23rd. On either of those dates, we will have a new administrator in place. So Mr. Carroll?
Is the ball in the court with the consultants or they're still waiting for us to ask for any another steps?
We're waiting for a mutual decision to take the next step into the next conversations. So
they don't owe us anything at this point?
not at this point. I got the information from Corey that I asked for.
Okay.
So yeah, our next conversations are about, just to give you my take on it, this is just me. What I'd like to see is like maybe this summer, we have a couple of rough ideas of ways we could move forward. And I'm not talking building proposals, I'm just talking rough approaches. Like we could acquire property somewhere else to build a new jail and sheriff's department. That's one possible approach. And they could give us ballpark estimates on what we'd be looking at for that approach, timelines, that kind of thing. Or could we look at, within the footprint of what we already occupy in this area, is there a way to put something here as an addition or whatever onto this structure, as opposed to acquiring property somewhere else and maintain our present geographical location, but still solve our space needs doing, to come up with those kinds of broad ideas and be able to put that out in front of the public and see what people think. Maybe people have their heart set on, no, I want the jail to be somewhere else. So we have to start then looking, okay, where else could we put it? Or, no, we don't want you buying more property because that's going to cost more money. If you can figure out a way to do it here, that's what we want you to do. See what people think. And so we would have to work with them to establish what parameters we'd be looking at and see what ideas they would have. That make sense?
There's a bit of, not a total sense of urgency, but we still have to continually be making progress towards coming up with a solution because the buildings are sitting there and
Yes.
it's costing money for them to sit there and we got to keep moving forward though.
Yes, reminded me, 2 million.
Then there's that. So that's the other thing I say we need to keep moving forward because if we're going to capitalize on those funds, we have to have a plan in place to submit. So and there was kind of a soft deadline / hard deadline, whatever you want to call it, for 2026, right? To kind of work our way towards that. So, winter comes very soon and then
Right.
we're kind of stuck.
We've already got one bridge replacement in progress.
Right.
We could look at replacing the second bridge, so there are two good solid bridges into that property for whoever's gonna get it after we're done with it. Having good access would be a good sailing point. We could use the grant funding to do that. There are some parking lot improvements we could look at out there that, we could have the county shop redo the parking lots and fund that with the grant money. Why not pay ourselves to do the work, right? If we have money left over, I know they're looking at trying to leverage some funding for restoring the tennis courts and stuff at Simon's, which are part of the campus properties. So that grant funding could be used for that.
Going on with what you said, Dave, maybe something they can look into is how big a footprint will we need for a courthouse, jail type of thing?
Yep.
Maybe ask them, really how much acreage will we need?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. So 2 weeks, 3 weeks, what do you think?
I cannot make the 23rd.
I mean, what day of the week are we looking at?
Those are both Wednesday, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a Wednesday.
But the 30th? How's that look for you? What's my own? What do I got that day? And agenda items,
Yeah, we talked about that.
yeah,
So the
Yep.
30th at 6 again?
6 o'clock work for everybody? Okay. So April 30th at 6 PM? No objections? Okay. Then do we have any correspondence for the committee to report? We haven't talked about, okay. All right. We have a motion to adjourn till April 30th at 6 PM from Mr. Manning, second by Mr. Caro. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all so much.
all right, 4 p.m.
Wait, what's wrong?
Public Works. Randy will give us some updates on
Uh,
how they're.
Give me the good news.